I asked Ruth Murphy to prepare the words for Sister, and I thought that it would be lovely to have her speak. The one thing I did, I should have said right off the bat, is that my dad is in India, and he just couldn't get a ticket to get here and to be here. But he too is he thinks all of you and is in my spirit as well. So with that, Ruth is known. Ruth's like okay. Well, let me say this. Ruth and I go way back, and Ruth's sister Celia is right here, and her brother Randolph is right there. They have Chris and Austin, but their parents, Maud and Vivian. Maud used to teach my mom in India, and then when we came here, Mom and Papa used to think they were tricking Maud and Vivian to babysit. Towns wasn't on the scene yet. To babysit me, but really Maud and Vivian would be like, "You're 5 of you. There's 1 of her." Little did they know, 1 of me was equal to 5 of her. Just kidding, right? But they used to root my
Hi, my name is Ruth. I hope you can hear me. Just to keep things in perspective, as far as Tashi is talking, we remember Tashi when she was this hugely in love with George Michael's fan. To the point where, just to show you time passing, she realized there's no way in the world George Michael would love her the way she would love her. When he best movies. So I started to write some things about Anne, but my other half, Jim, who is COVID positive, ended up really helping me, but honestly, the words flowed so beautifully from him that I would like to read what Jim had to say, and I will add my own pieces. You'll tell the difference in the writing. Because Anne is so loved by our family, and I can clearly see by all of you, and just by the representation of the different shades of people that Anne's helped bring together. What an honor. We should all be that. Though she was quiet and unassuming in our lives, she was a true revolutionary who inspired us all with her unique outlook, her remarkable strength, and her long list of accolades and accomplishments. From a very young age, Anne effortlessly carried with her an aura of timeless modernity. She lived true to herself and her beliefs, sometimes not to the liking of others, never forcing her views on us. She was concerned more with authenticity than trendsetting, and let her actions speak, never feeling the need to wave the flag or call attention to herself. This gave her a timeless and eternally modern quality that is rare and drew people to her. Simply put, Anne was alluring. To give her a hug was a true joy. Her hugs felt soft like teddy bears, and she would always say something with such genuine warmth that you could feel her appreciation for you. A hug from Anne was a magical, healing moment. They are what I will miss probably most about Anne. Anne was accepting and gentle and a true listener. She traveled the world and knew more very important and also very self-important people than most of us could ever hope to. And yet, she would be the one to listen to your stories and always without judgment. I loved her use of the word naughty, for those of you who get it. She would use it to describe someone who was not living up to their own standards, or for someone who was being inauthentic. Even if she was extremely disappointed in someone, she would describe them as being a very naughty boy or a very naughty girl, and say it with that twinkle that revealed her unique understanding and acceptance of the human condition. She was just such a sweet spirit. Through all the ups and downs of life, Anne quietly achieved what most creative people only dream of: completing paintings, as you can see, writing novels, doing needlepoint and knitting. They are here for all of us to enjoy today because Anne completed them. They are a part of her legacy as much as the impression she left on each of us. Many of us just dream of being able to accomplish these things. I hope her inspiration takes you on to inspire you to complete the things that you know you're supposed to complete. They are her gifts to the world, so please take some extra time this evening to appreciate that part of her spirit that she has left for each of her works for all of us to enjoy. The world has lost not just an incredible woman, but an eternal light of love and understanding. She was a beacon of light to all of us who knew her. We will miss her compassionate spirit and her ready sense of humor. Goodbye, Anne. The world is a better place for having had you in it, and the gap you left cannot be filled. We treasure the love and the kindness you've shared with all of us during our lives, and our thoughts turn fondly to a life well lived. Thank you.
It really is remarkable to see so many of you here. Some of you have been friends with her when she was, very young, and to have everyone here today too. On this very cool winter day, which is an oddity as it is really very touching for both of us. So thank you. My late husband used to make this joke that no one could separate me from a microphone. It's weird because I don't know why I say something like that. Randy, my friend back here, understands the same thing. He's like, I don't need a microphone either. But he was right. And so I'm standing here today offering some thoughts about my mom on my sisters and my behalf. My mom, she gave me many gifts through the course of her life. Rita Adhikari, who was sitting over here, asked me exactly what gifts she gave me, because she's like, you don't think like this, which I don't. But I will say that the best gift she gave me was my little sister. The people who have known my mom for so long, I look at the Kunjus, and I look at the Murphys, and I think about just how much their friendship has proven to have supported mom through her life. When I met mom, it was shocking. When I met her, she was a young lady, and she had been married for 3 years, and she was really hoping to have a baby. And she was reading War and Peace, and from War and Peace, she picked the name Natasha. Yeah, it's true. I've never read the book because it's really long. But I believe there have been some movies made about it. I should check it out. It's on Audible. Yeah, well, I'm scared because I'm worried that Natasha is like, oh, I know what, so many academics. So I hope Natasha wasn't an awful character in the book, but anyway. So she was reading this book because that's what Mom did. Mom used to read books, and she'd read multiple books at a time. Yes, like how, I don't know, but she would. And as a daughter, it's strange to think of her at a time where she was reading a book, waiting to start her life and welcome her first child into it. And at the time, she was a person who she felt that some of her dreams were out of reach, and she felt that some of her dreams were attainable, and she was starting on her own path, recently married, and looking forward to what was going to happen next. My mom was born in Coimbatore, India, before partition, and her father was a doctor and her mother was a nurse. And her mother had a really interesting story because she was actually Scottish and had been raised by the nuns because her family's missionaries had just left her in the orphanage. But when my grandfather and grandmother got together and got married and had two girls of their own, my Aunt Bess, who passed away a few years ago, and my mom she was the younger of the two and incredibly mischievous. And I remember these stories that she would tell over and over again, and I loved these stories. And she would tell it with Mom was a storyteller. She used to tell me these stories. She tells the stories about her grandfather and how at one time, kids, you're not going to believe this, they didn't have toilets that flushed. So you had to sit in these outhouses, and you'd have 2 or 3 people in the outhouse at the same time. So she would sit next to her grandfather, who was this very tall and scary man. And I think she would often make this joke that I'm just going to do it. She used to play practical jokes her whole life. She was very mischievous. She loved getting into things. She would take her dad's toothpaste, and Grandpa was a grumpy guy. And she would cut holes in the toothpaste so when you go to push it, all the toothpaste would come out. She used to feed her dog under the table. She got her in a lot of trouble. But the thing was that Mom was sort of a trailblazer in many ways because she was like, I'm going to do these things and it's going to be okay and it'll be fine. She wanted to be a reporter, right? And she really hoped to be able to do that. And Grandpa and Anna were like, no. You're like, this is the 50s in India. You're going to go to steno class and become, get married and move along. So she's like, okay, great, we go to Delhi. That's where she helped out with bunching. And the 2 of them was to ride around in a scooter in a time in India when women just didn't really do that. I believe she used to party like a crazy person, which I'm glad because I would like to know that she too enjoyed the same things that I did. But she did become a stenographer and found a place in the international organizations community, and that's where she began with USAID. And she was living in India. She rode around with Mother Teresa, who taught Rita sex education. I said that before she's like, you forgot to mention that. And she really was having a great time. Then, all of a sudden, this is a story that Tams and I heard often, was that the first time she met my dad, they were having a party, and they needed booze. And in India, the system was if you were in the armed forces, you could get booze is alcohol for kids. But they were waiting to get this, and Mom says, we had just gotten back from Goa. I was incredibly tanned, and your dad was very handsome, but he didn't have snowball's talent chance. And it's true. He saw her, she saw him. They were very attractive people. And I say that in a really a normal way, not like that. And they truly matched and they got married. And then 3 years later, they had me, and 2 years after that, my sister came. She talked so much about how difficult it was for her to have a baby. And she really struggled with it. And she really said that when she finally had us, that in so many ways we were truly her biggest gift. And she made me feel that way. I'd like to say, I speak on both of our behalves, until the very last day of her life. She made us feel like we were her whole world. And as big a responsibility as that was, it was also such an honor to be able to have that privilege. In her late 30s, Mom moved her entire family, which granted, there's 3 of us, but to the US. But she did it. She was like, hey, I want to go. Manju helped her. They arrived in the US. We lived in Alexandria. And she was that immigrant story. At the same time, we did end up going back and forth a couple of times. She couldn't make a decision, he couldn't make a decision. But then, after that, there was a commitment to being here in the United States. And for the next 40 years of her life, she made Alexandria, Virginia her home, and ours as well. Anne was a prolific artist, which is why I think we really wanted to share her work with you. She painted and she knit a lot. She knit a lot. And I say that it's wonderful and beautiful. It's just that when you're a teenager, there are just so many sweaters you can wear that your mom made. And some of them are a little old lady-ish, but not that anyone here is at all an old lady and doesn't take one home with them. But if you feel it, so she cooked, she hated cooking. She wrote 2 novels. She raised 2 girls. She supported her husband, who was a doting Nana on her 2 bright lights. She was not trained in any of this, and I think that is remarkable. When she first started her first novel, I remember thinking, I'm glad she has a hobby. But have you ever really thought about what it takes to write a novel? It's a lot of words, a lot of pages, and a lot of edits. But she did it. She edited it, and then she published it, and then she did a book tour in India. Sometimes I don't think people actually read my texts or emails, but people read her book. That was impressive. And that is her legacy. All of you here, many of you here, I think know that that I lost my husband 4 years ago. And that loss was devastating. Losing a spouse is really different than losing a parent. There's no comparison. But there's such an adjacency to what that grief feels like. It's the loss of something familiar, and it's the loss of a feeling of home. It's the loss of a feeling of familiarity. And I should say that when I think about losing my mom had a really great life. She lived to a ripe old age. And for me, I know that she was not robbed the way that Pierre Murray was. And so it gives me some comfort to know that even when she was as sick as she was, she had the experience of being with family and friends and seeing her children settled-ish. But I think that they're together. They used to go on walks together, Pierre Marie and my mom, when we would go. Pierre Marie took Mom to Sarah and Simon here, like this. And Pierre Marie would go to the beach, and Mom hated the beach. And she really didn't actually not being in the house, but Pierre Marie would take her on walks and drive her around. And I'd like to think that somewhere out there, they're taking a walk around some lighthouse and talking about how nice the weather is and quite possibly making fun of someone, probably me, but I do bring this up because I think family is really important to Mom, and I think that she loved being a mother and she adored being a nana. So when Asha was born, Mom, she's right there, Mom would pack her little bag, like a little Paddington bear. She had a little blue bag, and she would get on the train I have no idea how she, I mean, literally the woman would leave her house. But off she'd go on Sunday night, she'd go over to Baltimore, and then she'd take care of her. And that's desperation, because they were like, yes, Mom, you can take care of Asha. I recognize that you really like doing things like napping. But Asha thrived, and so did Mom. It was such a beautiful thing to watch the two of them. She took on the mantle of being Nana and loved every fine thread and stitch of it. When Mom moved in with Tams and John, she found a new home of nightly dinners, of watching Asha and Kieran grow up, and of teasing John unabashedly, trying to embarrass the guy. It doesn't embarrass easily. Oh my God, I think I embarrassed him. Just kidding. Mom and I went back to Winter before COVID struck, and then she and my dad got stuck there. Sorry, that just caught me off guard. She and I got stuck. And they're in the Ambassador Hotel. Those of you who've been to India know the Ambassador Hotel. It's right by Khan Market. And when I mentioned this to people, people would say to me, oh my God, that's horrible. And I was like, you really don't know these people. Because it was like literally her dream come true. In a room where no one bothers her, brings her tea, she can knit, paint, and call us to tell us what she was doing. So she was having a pretty good time. She loved luxury, a gift she gave me. A gift I'm trying to give my nieces. But she came back to the States really because she wanted to see her late circle for herself. And through Munju, she was able to move into Greenspring, and we had great hope that her move to Greenspring would allow her the opportunity to, and I know this sounds nuts now, the lady didn't know how to swim, so she thought she was gonna learn how to swim. She was gonna do like canasta and bridge and all this stuff, and unfortunately that just didn't happen. The last year of Mom's life was not an easy one. She was sick and she really felt it, and she was at people's mercy and she knew it. At some point, the woman that I knew, meticulous in all things that she did, kind of had to give up. I mean, that's when I first realized something had changed. Manju was by her side and Sam came from India. Tams and John, Asha and Kieran visited often, regularly, as did many of the people in this room. And I caught as many moments as I could. But on December 10th, after a pretty long battle with people around her, after having a moment with my sister and I, Mom took her last breath. Mom was nothing if she was not a study of paradox. She left India and made her way to the US, and yet she only liked to drive to a few places. She loved to travel, and yet she was truly a homebody, an introvert who really quite often liked her own company far more than that of others. She hated cooking, and she was so good at it. She depended on the people in her life, and yet would be willing to travel alone if she needed to see her home away from home. That's how England, the entire country. She wanted a big life and a big career, and yet she also wanted to retire as soon as she could. I think at many times life scared her, and yet there were times when she truly was fearless. She was able to hold many truths in her hands, a true gift. So I do like to think that she's in a better place. A place where she's reunited with her sister and her mom, and of course her little dog Siggy that is in here, and she still talks about me. She's a place where she's healing and she's at peace, and are getting ready to decide on her soul's next journey. I like to believe that just she's looking back at all the things that she accomplished and feeling that she did her very, very best, and that in doing so, the rest of us were able to shine her light. Thank you so much for being here. My sister and I really appreciate having you here. Please go through this day. Thank you. Thank you.
mom's mom, and I really miss her.
I miss her a lot. And this is the first time in my life, and I'm well into my 60s, that I've been alive and Anne hasn't been there. So I've known Anne she's known me before even her kids were born. And she's known our family. She worked with my dad. She was a pupil of my mother's. Then she worked with my dad at USAID. And we realized that 4 generations of our families know each other. And so the one thing about Anne is she always pinched my cheeks well into my 60s. And I said, "You realize I'm in my 60s?" She goes, "That's not going to stop me. You still have pinchable cheeks." So it's a really hard adjustment not to have her. So anyway, I hate being here and doing this, but I think it's important.
Thank you.
She was such a good friend to our family. She was so generous. She was just a wonderful person to every single member of my family. We had a huge family. And she raised some very, very confident girls. When Tashi was 3, and she stayed with us, we were all much older than she was. She always referred to my siblings and me as the children. She always talked to my mom by her first name. She would refer to her as Maud. "Are the children going to be with us?" And we were in our 20s, teenagers, 20s, 30s. So anyway, we've got a long history, and I hope, and Anne was like the connecting person for the history and with our families. So I'm hoping that maintain a good relationship with everyone. So thank you.
And Sam would tell you to add masala to your writing when you would write your novels. I want you to know that you definitely added masala to your life. And we are all so much better because of it. I love you and I'll miss you.
And I just wanted to say how much I miss your beautiful smile. It was always there for me whenever I visited you at the Green Springs, and every time I met you. Said a lot about you, and we'll miss you a lot, but your daughters have been so kind to let me have pieces of your artwork, and so I know it'll be in my heart. You will be always in my heart. Love you so much.
I just want to say Han was an angel. She was a wonderful person, big heart, smiling all the time, and I love her very much. Thank you.